Okay. I want to start off by saying thank you, God. Um, thank you. Um, it was hard for me to wake up. It's getting harder and harder because of my health. I know that things are not looking good for me, and so it's hard for me to function. But I have to be strong. Uh, you know, as I've been the pattern and repattern and change and manipulate in these disgusting pedophilia ways, sometimes to hear these perps trying to counter reality and the way they I'm sorry, the reason why I'm laughing is because I just heard something being said via V2K. Uh, these perps, they like to use childlike minded people who have the ability to counter reality. And it's just, it's horrible to grow up in this state of mind. Um, with me, the way they manipulate me is disgusting. Every time I see a child, I get some disgusting reaction, sexual stimulation. This is a tactic they've done to so many others, right? This is not unique to me. I've been validated that there's a system that they use to break down the TI, right? And pedophilia type of torture is a term that I didn't come up with, but has been utilized by others to describe what they do. And you hear a lot of that where they play with your sexual arousals, and those sexual arousals can be aimed, excuse me, toward children, and that's what they do. They aim those sexual arousals they can manipulate, and they aim them toward children. It's so nasty, and you've been heard. You've heard others saying the same thing. So not only you know yourself, why am I getting these stimulations? It's because they crank the stimulation. This technology has the ability to manipulate so much of your body and your mind. And so you recognize that why am I like what's this reaction? It's so obvious. It's just absurd, like it's just crazy. You get stimulation that's not only sexual, but you feel something in your brain. And this has been applied onto so many others that you get so much validation. But with me, what's been happening is they make me have this experience, and then when I get this experience, they make me think that this is how I experienced things when I was a child. And they bring up this thing that I did as a child. Now, unfortunately for them, they've been trying to make me think of it in a more exaggerated way. Now, listen, when I think about it as an adult, it just is, it just does this, that just annoys me. It annoys, I look at it, I'm like, oh, what was I thinking? But I understand what kids are capable of doing, right? It's not something when I look back, I'm like, oh, even thinking of the actual act of what I did makes me feel uncomfortable because it's just like, what was I thinking? But I was a child who just turned 14 or 13, 14, right? Now, this is what a child is capable of doing. But the fact that these trash are trying to exaggerate this to be more extreme than what actually happened, right? That's for them to create these storylines. They don't live in reality. It's like as perps, and that is within this program, the goal is to recreate reality. You don't live in reality. They create a false reality as they manipulate you in these disgusting ways, right? But I know what they do, right? As much as they try to vilify me for an act that they try to exaggerate, the reality of what they actually do to children is insane. You've heard the testimony of how torturous they are to children, right? We talk about sexual torture. We talk about different tortures that consist of suffocations. I mean, we talk about blinding children. We talk about getting kids sick from 3 weeks old to 7 years old. And there's like testimonies of those happenings, and they damage them physically, psychologically using this technology and these methods. I heard some trash in this program that does these horrible things to children whisper something funny. I had to get up. It was just comical. Not comical because what they do is horrible, but comical to know that this person is involved in a program, right? Where today they use defense technology on children and torture them And to know that, and to know that this trash, for some reason, wants me to not think of that, but was saying that what I did as a child was child abuse, when the reality is just an inappropriate act of a child doing something to himself. Well, she's in a program that literally use defense weapons to torture children, burning kids using radiations of the. She's in that. So for me to hear this perp, that she could never say that in front of me without me losing it. Not even losing it, but just not think about the horrible things that I heard about what they do to children. We talk about they have blood of children on their hands because kids have died in this program. Kids got really sick. Kids got handicapped. Kids got blinded. So I was laughing, but I was like, oh my gosh, you piece of low life trash. You are a trash human being. The danger that you are to children just by being in this program, you're just a low life. You're a piece of shit. And for all the kids that have been suffering and tormented by this program, what you deserve is not on this earth. And I'm not going to let you live your fucking fantasy. These people are trash. And what they deserve is not even, I can't even express, it's not going to be for me to do. But they are truly harming children. So when I hear her say that, I start laughing. It's like, this piece of shit is ridiculously retarded. And I understand why they contract these losers that will be in a program that they literally torture children using this technology and think I will not think about the horrible things they've done to kids and try to exaggerate what I did as a child. And then a child that's just brain is still developing and having to exaggerate. You know, there was an article yesterday I was reading, and it's because it's not even reality is so removed that the most basic logical general knowledge is like removed out of your brain, right? They repattern you and they want you to become a retard. Excuse my language. They want you to be, I'm sorry to using this mean language. It's just like, I don't know. They want you to mentally be on the spectrum. That the most basic logic is now being challenged by these bottom feeders. Because they're trying to reconstruct your reality. Now, you understand that people who are in a program that literally torture children, to have the audacity to try to exaggerate what you did as a child and call that child abuse while being in a program that literally zaps hands, genitals, testicles of 3-year-old, and try to talk about child abuse when they're in a program that literally torture the genitals of 3-year-old. I was laughing. I had to laugh because out of just like, this person just, does she know that I heard what they do to kids or what? Because they torture babies, they violate them. And I was listening to this article. The article was talking about, what inappropriate acts from children, right? And they say specifically this should be called inappropriate acts from children, right? Because that age, a child impulsiveness should be seen as a child just doing an inappropriate act. The mentality of a child is what it is the brain of a child. You don't compare a brain of a child to a brain of an adult. Children are impulsive. They can do some things. They are not aware of certain boundaries. They are still kids. And so this article literally bring that up. And so one specific thing they say, and in my brain they try to, because in one point in the article they say the brain of a 12-year-old should not be compared to a brain to a 35-year-old, right? Or something like that. And with me it's like, oh no, but you were just turning 13, 14. It's like, yeah, a year ago I was 12 years old. Like this retardation. But one thing they hate is because they want it to be like, no, that's sexual abuse and whatever. And the definition of what would be considered sexual abuse is physical contact. But what I did as a child is what I did to myself. Me doing something to me. And this is why you hear the exaggerations of like them trying to, no, she touched it, use her, and try to create these versions of what actually happened, of what they want to be happen. And you can see me speaking, they try to trick me to say something else. They wish that she used her hand, or I used her hand, or she touched. The reality is, I did whatever I did to myself. The physical touch was specifically me doing something to me, but it was still inappropriate. Now, that kind of breaks down the little, reality they put together. And so they're trying to still be like, no, but what you do is like a child can do something like that. Listen, you're in a program that literally torture babies with fucking technology that is so sophisticated that it sounds science fictional. You're killing babies slowly, slow kill, making them sick and then making them feel better. Blinding a child for temporarily blinding them, just making them be able to see